Hey guys, I'm with John Delaney here, who is a Jim's Mowing franchisee, and I think you've just come up to 7 months, so it's a great time to check in with you and see how you're doing. So thanks for coming out to the head office today, John, and doing this.
No, thanks very much.
No worries. So we always, when we do this, we ask, what was your background prior to joining Jim's? What were you doing before Jim's Mowing?
Yeah, so my background before Jim's Mowing, I was in a managing director's role for the last 5 years, and GM role before that. I'm spending about 5 months a year offshore, living offshore in between Australia, and spent a lot of time in the US, Europe, Asia. And that was what I'd done before that. Primarily, I'm a butcher by trade, multiple family, about fifth generation in the meat industry and agricultural industry. And so I've always been outside, generally, a lot, as well as, wherever I could be. And then decided last year, pre-COVID, I'd sort of had enough. I'd got to where I'd got to, achieved everything I wanted to achieve, and decided it was sort of maybe time to slow down a little bit and want to spend more time at home.
Now, so. You said there's some GM roles, so you're pretty big GM roles. Though midfield meats, you're a good Southwest boy from Warrnambool, that sort of way. So pretty high up there roles. Yeah,
I was in part of it there. I was in charge of the retail division there, and then I came back to Melbourne and was in GM roles in meat industry type to related businesses. And the last role was I was asked to set up a new business in Australia and build it from ground up. So my goal was to take that from 0 to 10 million within 5 years, and we took it from 0 to 20 million in 4 years.
Wow.
And I got to that stage then that, I just achieved all that, and I just wanted to spend more time at home. So, yeah.
So what made you, so you're looking around to make a change. You would have, I presume someone of your stature would have looked at a lot of different things and had a lot of options. So what made you choose Jim's Mowing?
What made me choose Jim's Mowing was I really wanted to slow down, and everyone defines slowing down as differently. To me, slowing down was actually waking up and going to bed in the same bed every day. That was my definition of slowing down. So I'd always been used to working 50, 60 plus hours a week. That was just normal. So my definition was to be home every night. That's my definition of slowing down, which is different for everyone, but that's my definition. So that being the case, then I knew there was a lot of opportunities to look at. I looked at different franchises, different things. The flexibility to me was irrelevant, because I thought, that sort of didn't really motivate me, the flexibility side of it, because I'm a big believer, you only get out what you get in, so they put in. So the Jim's brand then attracted me, and I just liked everything about it. I liked the process. I liked the systems. Did look at a couple of other franchise opportunities besides Jim's. I actually, at the time, I looked at Leonard's Poultry because I had a meat industry background, and looked at a couple of other food opportunities, but I didn't like my destiny being controlled by the likes of Westfields and people like that and other bits and pieces. Too many variables which are out of control.
Now, did you do a trial day before becoming a franchisee, or how did you go through your process?
I done over a month. So I done over a month. So I done some time with some very experienced guys, different guys, and then I done a few Saturdays working with guys to get some experience there. And then my wife and I, we had a few properties, and we intentionally then chose Jim's to come out and do different works, chose different franchisees, and we would never get the same franchisees. We'd book them as onces to see what the service levels were like for different franchisees and see the processes we used: window cleaning, maintenance, dog grooming and washing, and all those sorts of ones. And we'd done that. I was always interested and was always going to do the gardening side of it, but we'd done all of them. And the gardening one, we had 4 different guys come out, because I wanted to see what the level was and the standard of different people to actually understand where I would need to benchmark myself against.
I've never ever heard that before. So I want to go and talk a bit about that. So what did you find from your investigations, or from your research, your market research, from that angle?
Well, first of all, the biggest thing what we done was when we had a couple of guys come out, was one of the biggest things for me. Might sound a bit harsh. I got my wife done a lot of the talking, because I wanted to see if they tried to how they dealt with that, when I took a backward step, that she was the more dominant one in the situation. I thought that was a good test. And we thought that because we just want to understand how that worked, because quite often a lot of people think with the husband and wife, they just naturally would talk to the male.
I know what you're saying, yeah, for sure.
That was probably one of the big things. The other big things was appearance. So they were sort of some of the little things that we were just looking at. We were just trying to understand the process, and then, to be honest, the other thing was the quoting. We had like-type services at different properties, and then we were comparing the quotes and all that to understand how that sort of side of it worked as well. Just different things.
So you've done a pretty big investigation period. You've had multiple franchisees come out to see the process. You've also been out with franchisees yourself.
Yeah.
Now, you did the training as well. So what made you come and then do the training after having all this experience?
Well, I'd done the training online.
Oh, okay.
I was one of the online training people. So I heard a few guys, from what I understand, some people didn't struggle with the online training. I think the part for me, probably why I didn't struggle with the online training, was because I had probably the business acumen component behind me from my past roles, having to understand that side of it. Be perfectly honest, I really loved the online training part of it, because I liked the backwards and forwards part where you could rerun something, etc., etc., etc. And then there was a lot of key components that I picked up on the online training, which was a replica of the training because it was being videoed, that we made notes of and then made them a priority before we started to put those measures in place.
Yeah, I think the training now, we've made it live stream. So, of course, I think the course you're talking about is like a university-style course where you can come and go at your own pace. Yeah. But I think now we've got it live stream or in person, meeting on the state. But so what made you still come across? Because you've done a massive, I want to go back to that point again, but you've done a massive investigation process, but you still ended up going ahead with gyms. Yeah. Why was that?
Because the biggest thing for me was that the systems were there. Number one was the systems, and number two was there's no such thing as a cold lead. So when you're chasing for business or getting business, the leads are all hot because someone's gone and made the effort to contact via online or phone inquiry. That takes effort, so it's premeditated. So there's actually a need. So gyms has done all their part. They can't do anything else. They've got it to that stage. And then I'm a big believer you've probably got 180 seconds whether you've won the job or not. And that's how I work it. Because you've got to find common ground. And I think I sort of say that elevator speech technology, if you to go between the first floor and the 40th floor, you've probably got 90 seconds to 180 seconds. So that first 180 seconds, when you pull up at that person's house, from they see how you pull up to how you act, to how you acknowledge them, how you intimidate them or listen to them, etc., etc., etc. That's it. You've got it then. It then becomes price. So I think the price is like this much of it. The other component, the other 90% of it. That's what I find. That's for me personally. So
now let's talk about your first 6 months. You've done over 6 months, so which is always good to touch base with someone after 6 months, because the first year of business is going to be the toughest in regards to being a franchise or your independent business. Yeah. So how has your first 6 months gone overall?
Overall, really, really good. Really rewarding. I've done 3 splits.
Now let's touch on a split, because people watching might go, what is a split? It's not a banana split. So what is the split?
So a split is a sale off of a proportion of your clients, a certain amount of clients that you wanted to sell off and consolidate and things like that.
So in the first 6 months, you've been able to build up 3 essentially runs and sell off clients to other people.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. We sold off 3 different splits in 3 different areas. So yeah.
Did you know that was possible? What was this sort of? Because that's for me, because I've been working here for a while. I know most people might do a split after 1 or 2 years, and you've done 3 within 6 months, which is quite an amazing achievement. Yeah, I
was very confident that everything that I seen was very confident, and the guys who I got to spend with, I was very lucky. I got to spend time with some really good operators, like in the field. And that being the case, then I knew everything was there. The only thing that could make it fail was me. So it was how I went about it and my attitude, I guess. To me, it's all about attitude. So, yeah.
Do you recall your first couple of weeks and what they were like?
I recall my first day.
Right.
Aaron Harrison's my franchisor, and John Wiles is quite a good friend and also a neighbour. And, it was Monday the 23rd of November last year, and absolutely torrential rain. I couldn't get out of the house. And it was torrential, and Aaron goes, "Great first day." I said, "Yeah, I know." And but out of a negative, this is where it was quite funny. At 2 p.m. that day, I never forget it. The suns came out and it stopped raining, and I'd had jobs to do that day. I already knew that I was able to get 2 or 3 jobs in, So when I got home, John rang me and goes, how'd you go? And I said, well, I got 3 jobs in. He goes, well, that's better than nothing. I said, it's phenomenal. And he goes, and I think he sort of went quiet maybe a bit because I was pretty happy about it. But I'd actually covered the costs that were allocated for the day plus made $60 profit. So that's day one. So from that day forward, I've never been in negative. So that was my attitude. I know I worked out, reverse engineered when I went into this. Reverse engineered for profit, not for sale. Because I was never going to come into this to sell the business. So, it's a bit like golf. You drive for show, you putt for dough. So I started from the bottom and went to the top and then made the sales and the revenue the last thing and worked on the other areas first. I found that a much better model for me. So that being the case then, I've always followed that strategy and it's worked really well for me.
I love hearing that term because a lot of people talk in terms of gross revenue or I turn over this, I turn over this. But as you said, you reverse engineer from profit from day one. Okay, maybe you want to talk about that a little bit more in detail for any current franchisees or for people wondering more about the process with that.
Yeah, so when a lot of people talk about, I've done, you might hear a statement, I've done $7,000 turnover this week, okay. But if you took out $2,500 worth of material costs, that's why I'm not interested in turnover because if you asked me about a job today, I could tell you we done this turnover, but if I take all those costs out of the actual cost of the job, it comes back to this. So why I started at the bottom was when we went into it, I really wanted to know my costs. So I knew my costs 100% right down to every iota. So much so I've even got a budgeted annual figure for leads that I put aside. And then by doing it that way, it all seems to work well together, it works married up. So we engineered from the bottom up because the most important thing is knowing your costs and knowing that no matter what your turnover on the top line, 10% of that's not yours, it's the government's in GST. So all those sorts of things, I wanted to make sure we were spot on. And staff, I have a gentleman work with me, but the reality is whatever your staff member's hourly rate, you've got to multiply it by 1.42, and that's your real cost with superannuation, long service leave, all those sorts of things. So we built a model that if we couldn't afford to pay a worker with all those costs, we shouldn't have a worker. So that's been the strategy. So to engineer up, and that's been a very successful model.
I think you talked about previously you did 3 splits in the first 6 months. Now, how are you able to do that so quickly?
Because of the opportunity with gyms, I just turned the leads on.
All right.
Yeah, turned the leads on. And I think it was the second or third week, I actually asked my franchisor, Aaron, I asked him to take me off income guarantee because I found it a hindrance.
Now, we'll just touch on that. So pay for work guarantee, when you first start as a franchisee, you get more priority in terms of leads than other people who have been around for a while to help you get going and build your business. So you turn that off straight away.
Yeah, I did because you can't control the postcode and geographical spread where those leads come to help support you. So it's like a shotgun going off and it's fantastic. There's heaps of work, there's heaps of leads, but I didn't want that. I wanted to grow because I was focused on bottom line focus, not top line focus. It was better for me to do that, and all about bottom line focus is controlling cost and controlling all those sorts of things. So that was a better strategy for me. When I done that, the business grew even quicker, and then that's what allowed me to do the splits.
And that's because you don't, for anyone watching or listening, is that you didn't want to be driving from here to here to here to here back and forth. And
that's correct. Yeah.
So maybe you want to talk about, so you've got your round basically condensed where you might, let's say, 3 or 4 jobs in the same street or that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Like today we done close to 20 jobs before I got here today for between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. because they were all in a tight cluster, 2 of us, and a lot of mowing and they were just mowing and edging jobs and everything because I was planning the day around this. And between 7 and 2, we'd done 20 jobs. Which
is quite incredible. 20 jobs is a lot. And if you went, let's say if you went to 5 or 4, if you needed to, like you can do the math in terms of your head and how much work you're doing.
That's right.
Which is amazing. Yeah. But you put that down to getting that run really condensed from an early on, and then obviously scheduling the jobs which require, let's say, less work or something on that day. Or
yeah, correct. Yeah. And we quote accordingly. So when I do our quoting, if we've got jobs in a clustered area and we know that it's going to be very beneficial for us, we won't go quoting a job. Like someone else might say, oh, I wouldn't have done it for that. I would have charged $10 more. We won't do that. Like I'll quote accordingly because I've got a cluster. So I quote that we're gonna, we're not too cheap. We just quote that we've got on a good job and the price is fair, and there'll be never a discussion or discrepancy on the price, and people feel comfortable with that because to me, that's how that works better for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but that works better for me.
Yeah, so you've really maximised your route efficiency, haven't you?
100%.
Yeah. So what's your typical route like now then, in terms of efficiency? Is it something where you have, let's say, 5 or 6 streets lined up, where you have those multiples?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So most of the days now are really, really tight. We've got that tight clustered area, and it works really, really well for us. What we also done when I bought 2 splits too. When you buy my couple of splits, I bought 2 splits together, made a total of 50 clients at the time, and some of the splits, the 2 splits had customers very close, within half a K, 1K, etc., but at entirely different cycles. So I thought, well, how am I going to do this? I needed to get a lot from that were 3 weekly. I needed to bring them all forward. Yet you had to do it delicately, that you weren't trying to bring them forward without upsetting them. So what I decided to do was, okay, well, I'll take a commercial hit, and let's say it was a $66 Mow GST. I said to them, I was quite open. I said, I've consolidated 2 runs, and to service you better and to be able to do things more streamlined, I need to bring your Mow back 1 week and to get it in line. But I'm not going to charge you extra. I'm actually only going to charge you $44, which is at 66% of the other costs. So you're not paying more. And then they were all, oh, that's fantastic. No worries at all. So that's how I got everyone back aligned.
So you're getting a discount and just sort of in communication
just for that one
as well?
Mow, yeah. But it was only on the ones I had to bring back. The ones I had to push out, that was easy, because I could push them out without a week, without any drama. But it was only the ones I had to bring back. They were the more delicate ones.
So do you think having that just relentless, let's say, commitment to route efficiency in the early days has allowed you to do those so many splits in so quick of time? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Ongoing, that was definitely it. But the biggest thing was the actual... I wouldn't have been able to do it if the work wasn't there. And the other reason why we grew the business so much was I have my leads on from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m, 7 days a week. I have the maximum window. I also found then that I would do 99% of the quotes same day. And because I started in summer, in daylight savings, I had the opportunity. It wasn't dark till 8 o'clock. So we'd work all day. I'd have a quick bite for dinner. I'd go out and quote till 7:30 every night, 8 o'clock, if that's what it took.
Now, with that, are you down for same-day service or...? No. But did you find going out there, just getting that routine obviously helped you and improves your skills as well, becoming a better quoter as you go? Yeah,
it does. The thing for me with the quoting, because the lead's a hot lead, as I said, so the quicker you get there, that's sort of more responsive time, and I wanted to do that, to consolidate, to build things up, to be able to do the splits.
So your same-day quote generally, or the next day?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah, every day.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So do you think that would help other franchisees or other people, let's say, in general, with their business, rather than putting it off, they just go out there every day, same much as they can, quick as they can?
Yeah, well, actually, to be honest, the person I learnt that off was actually watching videos, and that was Dan Cahill.
Dan, yep.
Dan boasted, promoted himself, the fact that his biggest strike rates were for speed of quoting. The quicker you answer, etc. And it's a big thing on the video. Jim says that, how quick you respond. So what I do is, I do it differently. Anyone who inquires online, I have an automated text set up in Notes.
Yep.
And I send them a text message and say, hi, Jonathan from Jim's, just got your online inquiry. Is it okay if I call you within the next 15 minutes to half an hour regarding you? And the reason I do that is they're an online person. So I generally see if something comes online, I find that those people may not like to talk to people as much as someone who rings the call centre. So then I do it that way. To me, that's a good strategy.
Very clever. So what's the response generally from customers when you send that?
Oh, within seconds, because they're banging them out.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's a really good tip, actually. I haven't had that one before.
Yeah, so then, that works for me really well for me. So.
Now with your it's great to hear you mention some content, and that's what you do, and you do it a bit differently as well. But I was going to say, what equipment are you using in your business?
Currently, I'm using Honda mowers and Shindauer. But it's funny. It's a time you asked this question. Next Friday, my truck goes in off the road to be fully fitted out with solar, and I'm swapping across to lithium power, to battery power.
So do you have a truck? Do you?
I have a built-in. Yeah, I have a ute that's custom built ute. I don't tow a trailer.
Okay, so you have the ute with the trailer thing on the back. I think I've seen this.
Malcolm built it for me. So that's mine.
It's a top class. Got a lot of heat online that one. That was a good one. A lot of people very popular.
Done the graphic, and I sort of graphicked it all up and all sorts of things.
Do you find it helps as well for your efficiency of your business, just having that as opposed to the trailer? Or
it did when I was doing a lot of work in Malvern and Brighton and all those sorts of areas, narrow streets and things like that. But we do look. We reckon it saves us about 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day.
Really,
for us personally, that a lot of guys can dance the trailer around like it's nothing, but I'd probably be too slow. Like I've got a trailer as well, but I find that the Ute's quite good. It holds, I think, 3.1 cubic metres in the back, so it holds more than enough for us, what we need, and works well.
Now, what battery-powered equipment are you going to? What's the brand?
Went to Ego.
Ego?
To be honest, yeah. Looked at a couple of brands. There's another Pelnic is really good. Yep. Really good for the battery life and all those sorts of things. I didn't like it because there was too much backpack stuff. I wanted the battery on the tool, and I like that sort of stuff. And Ego's been around a long time, and there's a lot of options if anything goes wrong. There's not one. For me, there's not a limit of access to
whereas
spares.
with Pelnic is a very high quality product, but it's from France, and it could take a while if there's anything.
Yeah, correct. So I know the guys who are selling it, they carry lots of spares and everything's relatively quick, but also the mower shop I've also dealt with predominantly, he sells Ego, and he's bent over backwards to support me, so I've just sort of
Now with your trailer, so it's literally going to have solar panels on the top. So when you drive around, it's going to charge the batteries inside, and you just grab a battery if it's flat, and you chuck it on, and away you go.
So on top of the mower box part, we've got a solar panel. That'll be all solar panel, and then we've got the I think it's 2,000 watt or something lithium and charger, and that's going all built into that, and then we can charge everything as we go. So
now, I didn't want to touch on it before, but I don't want to get specific dollar amounts, but how is your income like now compared to previously when you're pretty high up in your GM roles and things like that?
Look, it's a good question. You can quite openly ask it. So, like I said before, from a comparative point of view to the role I was, there's no comparison because you can't, at that level, I was in a $20 million business, global role, no comparison. Yeah,
I understand, yeah.
But in saying that, if I take out the splits, in the first 7 months, turnover, excluding materials, because I don't count. It was 139,000.
Jeez, that's a good wicket.
Yeah, with the base operating profit of 79.5.
Wow, that's really. And you happy with that, obviously?
Well, that's after I took wages as well.
Yeah.
So that's post wages.
After post wages, there you go.
That's because that's profit. So that's net profit. I run it as a Pty Limited. So I actually, when we first started, there's a on the gym's training. There's one thing that stuck in my head was for less than a cup of coffee a day, you'll have you could really have all your bookkeeping and accounting done properly. Never forgot that. So I then partnered with Dean O'Brien, who's a franchisor.
Yeah, Jim's bookkeeping,
Yeah, he looks after all my finance bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And when I started with Dean, that's when I think we went to the next level pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people from the start, they go, I'll give it a crack first, and 12 months later they try and get involved, and there's always sometimes a mess to clean up or whatever. So
yeah, well, it's really good. Like as an example, if I was driving here and I filled up with petrol, I just get the receipt, shoot it into Dext on my knee, hit vehicle fuel, bang, goes through, all set up in the system. I screw the invoice straight in the bin, done. And it's all goes straight into the GL coding and ledgers and all that sort of stuff. So that was a really, really good attribute for us. That worked well for us. So, yeah.
Now, with the income, guys, I'll just make a note for anyone listening or watching. We don't, with income, people quote figures and stuff. So that's solely what you're earning, and that's what Jonathan's doing. But it's up to you guys if you are doing a franchise. That's what you can achieve. But that's up to you guys. There's no guarantee that you'll make that. It's just up to you what you can do in the business. Now, let's talk about your franchisor support. So, franchisor is a support person for your go-to business coach. You were pretty lucky at John Wilds as well as a trainer, as your neighbour as well to go to, so pretty lucky there.
Yeah.
But John's a great fella. But how's your franchisor support, and what does your franchisor do for you?
Look, I've been lucky. Like I said, Aaron Harrison's my franchisor. When I first started, I actually was sending him my P&Ls, and actually asked him to go through them and find faults where I could improve. Now, that's the trust I have in him. So I asked him to go through my figures and say, can you look through these and look for faults to see if there's any areas where you think I can be doing better and things like that. Can pick up the phone anytime. Never an issue. And, it's been really helpful.
But that attitude you said was fantastic. But how can I do better, right? And I know from the gym's training, that's always what there's one point people take away from the training. How can you do something better every day? And from what you're saying regarding your business, it's something you really do apply to yourself every day, isn't it? How can I do something better? Is there cost I can do here or something I can make better? And so maybe you want to give a couple of examples of what you've looked at from when you started and what you've changed to now in regards to your business?
Look, one of the biggest changes I'd have to say was equipment's the biggest one.
Right.
That's been the biggest one to move across to. I'm getting old, so I'm 52. It's not old, but you're getting older, so you've got to start thinking about preservation longer term. So I thought going to the lithium equipment and stuff like that. I wanted to give it a go. Just it's a lot better, and it's the spares as well. Like, there's a lot of incidental cost with the fuel gear.
Yeah.
There's certain times where I've personally found that the opportunity to go that way is a good opportunity longer term. The other big thing for me was touching things twice. I felt that we were touching things twice too much. So I was very process driven. So I felt there's a couple of times where we would do something and we touched it 2 or 3 times. Now, the same thing, so you're going to lose money. It's not efficient. So we then tried to just get smarter on how we work those processes and to avoid those sorts of things. Like even when you work on a job and you put equipment down, we've got to a stage now that when we get to a job, it's right, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the central point where all the equipment's going to go. You touch it, you put it back there. So at the end of the day, we're not scattering everywhere trying to lose things, pick things up, etc., etc., etc. And then just those sorts of things were quite... And set the truck up the way the truck was set up. Little things like that, like having all the pre stuff done with pre-cut lines, where the PPE all goes, all those sorts of things.
And what's the most amount of work you've done in a day so far? How many jobs? You mentioned 20 before for today.
The most jobs, just mowing, we probably do the most we've done in one day mowing was about 29 jobs. And that's a mixture of mows from, say, $40 to, $40 up to $110 mows, etc. But that's 2 of us. But that's going. We don't stop for lunch. We don't do that. We eat in between jobs. So we like to go in and get the job done and get home. That's just how we operate, If we want to stop, we'll stop, but we don't. Generally, we like to work that way.
Where did you develop this sort of discipline and this mentality? Because it's quite impressive, and it's not a common thing, I don't think. But where did you get this from? Is it from your previous career, you reckon, or is it from being a good old country boy from the
probably,
Southwest,
I think, look, coming from a farming type, family background and coming from a meat industry background, time's money. And we were brought up that there is no tomorrow, sort of thing. That's how we were brought up. So my dad, they were just as how that was the way it was. He goes, there is no tomorrow. You wait till tomorrow, you've missed another opportunity type thing. So that's just how we were brought up. So I don't know any different. You know what I mean? So yeah.
No, it's reflective in your business, and just from hearing what you put in place is very, very impressive. Now, what about your customer? You've mentioned a little bit about customer service at the start, but what do you do from your customer service point of view? Is there anything you might do? You mentioned something about the text message before for online leads, which is very clever. Yeah. Is there anything you do from a customer service point of view, or what do you like to do with your customer base?
Just very big on the detail, like taking customers through the detail, things like that. When we do with customers, the biggest thing is... what's important to you? That's the first question I always ask, is what's important to you? Because you see, when we had got some people come and quote, we do this, we do that. No one asked me what was important to me.
Right.
So I find that if you say to a customer, look, what's most important to you? And that's what, so we understand what's the most important things to you, because you can go in and quote a job and then they go, that's way too expensive. But that's because you weren't actively listening, and they actually didn't want all that stuff done. They said that's what it'd be like later on. But it's understand what's important to you.
And that's your first question when you go out there into quote. You introduce yourself and you say that phrase, do you?
Yeah, I just say it. I'll say it. Someone I'll say great to meet you. And I say, so how would you like us to help? What's the most important thing you want me to achieve? What do you want to achieve with this? What are you trying to achieve? And then by saying that, they just go blah 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 blah.
And then you tailor obviously what you can do to that. That's a fantastic way of looking. We're gonna bank that one up. Now, what about the brand itself? Do you find the brand allows you, let's say, more opportunity? Like, how's the brand impacted your business in regards to winning clients or this sort of stuff?
I think the brand's very, 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 very strong. I think the brand's been a big success for us to a certain extent. One thing I really pride ourselves on, and I make it important, and I tell the guys when they're working with me, if we're mowing an nature strip and someone starts walking towards you, as soon as they're within 10 metres, turn the mower off and stop and just wave and say hello. because they get automatic respect that you've respected the fact that they're walking on the footpath, etc., etc., etc. And I said, always smile. Always, even if whenever you're on the phone, talk with a smile, because it reflects in your tone. And then people think you're more presentable, more personable and more approachable. And we find that attitude of doing those little things when people are walking past, or this or that and the other, we just get a lot more rapport, builds a lot more rapport, even if it's with your own customer when they see you.
Oh, it's fantastic. Great bit of advice of that tip as well. Now, I want to talk about the leads. You mentioned leads before. Were you surprised about how many leads we get, or how many there are available, and the quality of the leads? I
wasn't shocked at how many there was, because I knew that from with John and then with other guys. I wasn't shocked about that at all, but it was just more so making sure that you don't lose an opportunity. Yeah, I have a big issue with the fact that you pay for the lead whether you get it or not. So I want my cut. If I put down for the lead, I'm getting that lead.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do everything I can, because it's then my responsibility. So I take ownership of it because I've paid for it. So that's the big motivator for me, to make sure that I've exhausted every avenue and opportunity to the best of my ability to convert that lead. And there is leads where I've quoted high because I don't want the job. You can tell it's a nightmare, and everything about it's wrong. There's going to be an issue, and I will quote higher, or I'll walk away. I learnt to walk away very immediately. One of the splits of the guys I bought off, he told me from day one, walk away. If you got any doubt, walk away, and that's what I've done, and that's been very successful for me.
For sure. Now I want to talk about the winter time, spring coming into there. What are you advising your clients coming into spring, or what do you do in winter as well with your clients?
We've done a promotion. I actually am a big fan and advocate of the gyms online, Gyms Jobs.
Yeah.
It's got a very, very strong CRM tool function to it as a process, and by targeting customers with that, we sold over 100 cubic metres of mulching through winter.
Yeah, so maybe do you want to talk about what did you do? Did you do an EDM newsletter, or what did you?
Just straight out targeted via email, and just we call it like Christmas in July.
Sure.
We call it mulching in July, and it went through for us, and it worked really, really well. So
and that's out of Gyms Jobs.
Gyms Jobs, yeah. So I used that because it was easy to get the message out, and then off the back of that, we got a lot of pruning, a lot of gardening work, a lot of other cleanup work and stuff like that. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, what about your lifestyle now? So you've had some pretty high up jobs, traveling Europe and doing the business style life, but what's your lifestyle like now?
Look, I've become more of the Mr. Mum, I guess. My wife's quite high up in the bank, CBA, Commonwealth Bank. So both were in very big roles. So now I'm sort of the one who's home earlier, cooks dinner, all those sorts of things. Well, it's quite. I actually really enjoy it. So
plus doing a full day though.
Still doing full day, but it's really, really good. I just enjoy it. I've gotten very efficient in the sense of now 99% of the days finish the job, invoice the job before we go to the next job.
Yeah.
In the car, on the go. So those sorts of things. By the time I get home, I haven't got much to do.
Did it live up to your expectations, or was it more? Did it exceed them buying the business, or?
It's probably exceeded them, to be honest. Exceeded them.
In what ways did it exceed them?
Just the quality of the lifestyle and the flexibility, and the best part, the thing I love the most about this business compared to what my previous businesses have been, is all my previous businesses have been Pareto based businesses where 80% of your revenue is from 20% of your customers.
Okay.
This is a Pareto principle business. In this business, that doesn't work that way. So your business risk is minute because your revenue is so widely spread. So that's a great feeling. That's one good thing.
And do you think you're back? You've obviously really, the one thing that comes from me is you've applied your previous career learnings, and you've just applied it to this mowing business and going great guns. And I presume there's a lot of corporate people might be thinking the same thing. How does this work for me? So do you find, obviously, that's obviously helped you a lot in what you do?
Yeah, definitely. There's another gentleman who recently joined a few months ago named Steve. He's in
I met him.
Des's area.
Yeah.
He's the same background as me, and he's been very successful. He's been very successful in a short time and building a really solid business.
Now, I mentioned lifestyle, but do you find yourself, is it just more like you're more happier? Like, what's the comparison? I'm just trying to get people to get a sense of the lifestyle, like in terms of your mood.
Yeah, it's probably the mental, from my point of view,
stuff,
mental health, like the mental stress of it all previously. You a lot of responsibility, lot of accountability, but more so...
no late night emails either or phone calls?
No, you don't take it home as much. Like, this job stops. Generally, this job really does... It's the closest I've ever had to a job that really does stop when you pull in the driveway.
I love that quote because that's a big thing. Obviously, people with a 9 to 5, but we all know that it's not 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You might get an email at 7, you have to respond to at 10 o'clock or whatever it is. So you're saying that once you get home, it's stopped for the day.
Yeah, except for leads. Leave a lead inquiry. The job does stop mentally. It does stop. It doesn't keep coming at you, sort of thing. So,
yes.
And the overheads are so low. The overheads are such a low part of the business.
Now, mentally, do you find yourself more free to then do other things? Like in regards to you're not thinking about something all the time, you can be more, let's say, more present in other things, or how do you...
Yeah, a lot more present. So
What do you do outside of work then?
Do a lot of bike riding, cycling.
Yeah.
Do a lot of cycling, and then a lot of like fishing.
Like fishing?
A lot of fishing.
Yep.
So it's tuna season now, so it's quite good.
Right, but you have that business now where you can just switch off, do the tuna fishing, and not think about emails on the boat or anything.
No. Once a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to take the week off, and everything's already been programmed, scheduled. I'll take a few phone calls from customers, but that's all been set up. I know it's just easy. It's just turn it off. It's good.
Now, do you have any advice or for anyone thinking about maybe doing a Jim's Mowing business? You've done a really extensive investigation process, and I'm glad you did, because it means the brand is what it is and it's what we say it is. But do you have any advice for anyone who's thinking about maybe joining a Jim's Mowing franchise or doing it?
I think the biggest thing is really just to understand what you want and what you want to achieve. I couldn't recommend high enough for guys to focus more from the bottom to the top, not the other way around. I think you can get lost in the moment by focusing on what you're going to turn over, how much am I going to get paid? And where a lot of guys get really, really confused, they go, I'm getting paid this much a week. Yeah, but it's entirely different. When you work for a boss, you're paying all the income tax, you're paying this. You got to work on the difference as the gap, not actually the top line. It's what the bottom line is, and that's why it's what your net is, and then build up from there.
And you also said a couple of stuff at the start as well about accountability on yourself. Like even though you've worked for someone for so many years in a higher role, you've quickly mentioned straight away it's on me, it's on me, it's on me.
Yeah.
Do you think where did you get that sort of thing from?
We were brought up pretty much when I went into business, like as I got older and stuff and more involved with family type stuff. We had one motto: there's no degree of honesty. So the self-accountability comes very, very high then. So I run the business how I like to run it is that I even more or less schedule in the maintenance is locked in every week, like every set date on the calendar. So if someone said, you want to go out for breakfast tomorrow? Well, I don't. I say, I can go over the afternoon. I say, I've got to work in the morning. Now, they go, okay. Now, everyone's assumption of that is work is that I'm going to do a custom, but that's generally might not be it. It might be the fact that I'm cleaning the truck or doing the equipment service and changing blades. That's how I run it. So, because that's all part of it. It's a big part of it. So.
Sure. So we'll leave it there because we've gone for a while. So thanks for doing this, John.
Really
appreciate coming in and letting us know. And your credit to yourself. And thanks you for letting us know exactly what you do. Hopefully anyone watching as well, jimsmowing.com.au or 131 546 if you want to come out and do a try day or do an extensive investigation period like yourself. It's one of the most extensive I've heard. So thank you very much, John, for coming out to do this.
No worries. Thanks very much.
Ta.
Cheers.